Hello, welcome to the latest episode of Revive Hi-Fi Canada. And just to remind you, our channel is just about bringing love to this hobby that we truly love, and just trying different amps, different speakers, receivers, and just enjoying listening to the different types and varieties of these pieces of equipment that we might find on our used or new market in your area and our area. So today we're featuring the Harman Kardon 3375 HK3375 receiver, and I gotta start right off from the top and let you know that I love this receiver. It is a fantastic sounding receiver. It is very nice sounding. We'll start from the build quality. The build quality is pretty nice. This receiver is pretty old. I mean, it's getting close probably to the early 2000s. So if you remember, a little while back we reviewed the HK3500, and the HK3500 was even older than this receiver. It was from the 90s. So I believe HK around 2000 changed their design and went a little bit more chunkier in the style of the receiver. The sound signature is quite similar, very muscular, but I gotta say that the depth maybe and is kind of a little better on these newer HKs that were from post 2000s. It is very muscular sounding, just like the HK3500, and it's got a very pretty neutral sound signature. It reminds me though of kind of like the Yamaha RS700, but with more bass. So it's not exactly neutral. I would consider the Yamaha RS700 that we've had on many videos on the channel to be a little bit more towards neutral. The HK is a little bit more towards neutral, but with a hint of warmth in the bass. And it's not quite the warmth that I've had with some of my Marantz, but it's somewhere in between. The really cool thing about HK is that in many of their receivers they have an ultra high bandwidth, and I know our ears can hear about 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, but in some cases these HKs can go up very high in the kilohertz, like 30,000-40,000 kilohertz, and be very low as well. They have a very wide, ultra wide bandwidth. They also have extremely high current capability, so they can suddenly take on transients when the music, when the speaker demands more power, it can deliver that power. This amp is rated at 75 watts going into 8 ohms, but then at 0.07% total harmonic distortion, but into 4 ohms we get 100 watts per channel at 0.2% total harmonic distortion. Like I said, it has its frequency response is 10 kilohertz to 110 kilohertz. So it's got quite a wide, what HK Harman Kardon calls the ultra wide bandwidth. And I gotta say that whatever they're doing, it's whatever they've done here with this high current capability is really quite something. It apparently can go up to plus or minus 42 amps of capability of the stereo amplifier, so it can put out quite a bit of current to the speakers when needed. This particular model has a subwoofer preamp out, which is very nice. It has excellent binding posts in the back. It comes with a pretty decent remote, which I always love. It's got on the bottom right side under the volume knob, which typically has a green light, but in this case, for some reason the green light on mine here has gone out. It has the bass, treble, and balance knobs, so you still get that freedom to adjust your bass and treble by using those knobs, and so it still gives you that nice analog feel that many of the newer machines don't give you, but the Yamaha did. That's why I really love bass, treble, and balance knobs on my receivers and amplifiers. It's also got, of course, a phono input for your record player, It comes in pretty heavy in its build quality. It weighs about 25 pounds. So this is a pretty serious receiver, I would say. It sounds powerful. It delivers when the power when you need it. It sounds extremely clear at high volumes. Of course, that's a property of the speakers that you connect it to as well. But I would say that I am truly impressed with this receiver. I truly enjoy listening to it since I've obtained it, and it makes a pretty nice match with these Monitor Audio Silver 100s that we were running it with. It shows quite well with those. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say. I don't know what the damping factor is on this receiver. I'm trying to figure that out, but it doesn't really. I've not been able to find that, but I would imagine it's pretty decent. It actually has, at least in my opinion, it has a really good control. You have to think that these the speakers that we're using it with, the Monitor Audio Silver 100 7G, do typically have a pretty high power requirement. So not high power requirement, high control requirement of your receiver or your amplifier. So because you need to get a clear sound out of that 8-inch woofer, while at the same time, so you've got your mid-range, but you're still getting your low bass at the same time, which is quite remarkable for the speaker. But you need an amplifier that's able to do that and control that woofer to get that fine detail under your mid-range, while at the same time giving you that thump from your bass. And both the Yamaha was extraordinary in its damping factor for the RS700, but the Harman Kardon is right there with it, but also gives a little bit more of the warmth and bass thump in the music compared to the Yamaha. So of course this is a much older piece of equipment, yet it's running extremely well. I like to pair some older equipment with newer speakers, older amps with newer speakers, older speakers with newer amps, and it always sounds, I'm always curious about how things sound. This amp, at least in my opinion, sounds as good as any of my newer equipment that I have. It of course doesn't sound perfectly balanced like the Yamaha RS700 or my Cayenne that's sitting right under it, but it's got its own sound signature, which I really enjoy. It's very muscular. It's got a lot of bass. It's got a lot of nice, luscious sound that comes out of this receiver. So I think that's all I got to say about the Harman Kardon 3375 stereo receiver. It's 2-channel. That's usually what we have on this channel. So thank you for watching. See you again next time on Revive Hi-Fi Canada. Bye now.